Tony, I wanted to ask you, I noticed on your questionnaire that you answered no to all of the ballot measures.
Right.
And you obviously define yourself as the only independent voice in the campaign. How do you think that you would work with the city government of San Francisco if elected?
Well, I wouldn't be, I think you're going to find out that most of the people in this election are going to vote just like I've proposed in that thing. First of all, most of those ballot measures being put up are politically motivated. They represent one narrow segment of our community, the pay-to-play artists that have been running this city for the last 20 years. Just read the language of those ballot measures. I think the last one, the parental school choice thing, I voted yes on. I would vote yes on.
But how will you work with them on a practical basis?
Just exactly the way I worked when I was on the Board of Supervisors. That's why I'm an independent, and the only independent, not a declined estate, the only independent in this race. You bring the right and left together. I had a very successful record as a supervisor. I accomplished more than any other supervisor in those 4 years. And I kept my promises because I was non-politically oriented, and I was able to work with the left and the right. And that's exactly the way you approach these things. This pension reform measure was not a consensus measure. It was a union-dictated measure. That was not the left and the right working together. That ignored the benefits or the lack of benefits to the people. That's an example.
But how can one person change the entire culture of City Hall?
You got to start someplace, and the mayor's a good place to start. The mayor has appointments. The mayor has influence on the board. It's called leadership. It's called leadership. The mayor's position requires good leadership. That's what it hasn't happened. It doesn't require a person who's only interested in obtaining the next higher political office. It requires someone who's got integrity, courage, and leadership, and that's how you change the culture.
How do you propose getting pension reform without the support of labor?
You certainly don't cave in to labor. Pension reform is going to have a tremendously bad effect on the people of San Francisco because it's going to be $4.28 billion unfunded in addition to what we already have, $300 million a year. How you do it without labor? You negotiate with them. Joe Alioto did this when he was mayor. You sit down, look at, here's the fact. Labor, the rank and file labor knows that if we don't have a good pension reform plan, they are going to be without a pension in 7 years. So they don't have any choice. And you have to sit down and drum it home. What you do is you've got to eliminate the perks and the unfair advantages that they are imposing upon the mayor's office and the rest of the city right now. You go back to 3 years of highest service. You eliminate the spiking. You eliminate the overtime. You compare it to private industry. And the only true way to do this, because we have been stuck with false promises of past mayors, is to set up a third contributory level of contributions by all employees, eliminate the spiking, eliminate the overtime, and pay off the unfunded liabilities within 10 to 15 years. And we've done actuarial studies on this. It can be done. You don't have to hit anybody who's vested, but you have to say, okay, anybody coming in the city now, here's what you got to pay. And it's probably closer to 10, 11%, between 9 and 11%. It can be paid off. All this business about the city family, what is the comprehensive, that's a joke. And Jeff's plan, unfortunately, does not take in the big kahuna, which is health care. So will I negotiate with unions? Yes. Will I work out a plan with them? Yes, because the reality is they know that it has to be done. And the city and county, the people of the city and county know better than the unions do what has to be done. And I'm the only candidate taking this position right, by the way.
Joanna, the city of San Francisco is a pretty complex bureaucracy.